What if I told you that one woman, one seemingly ordinary businesswoman, changed the course of Christian history forever? Lydia wasn't a preacher, a prophet, or a queen. She was a merchant selling luxury purple cloth in a Roman colony. Yet, she became the first recorded convert to Christianity in Europe. And here's the twist. Her influence didn't stop at her own conversion. She opened doors, literally and spiritually, that helped spread the gospel across an entire continent. But why did God choose her? What made this independent woman so crucial to the mission? And what can you learn from her bold faith, her leadership, and her willingness to act? Lydia's story isn't just history. It's a blueprint for anyone who wants to live out their faith with impact. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you might just see your own purpose in a whole new light. Who was Lydia? Lydia was not just another name in the New Testament. She was a trailblazer. Mentioned in Acts of the Apostles, she was a merchant of purple cloth, a symbol of wealth and power in the ancient world. This wasn't a small business. It was a high-end trade, dealing with elites, aristocrats, and even royalty. In a time when women had little economic influence, Lydia stood out as an independent, successful entrepreneur. Imagine a modern-day luxury fashion mogul. Lydia was the biblical equivalent, running her trade with confidence and expertise. But Lydia wasn't just about business. She had a deep spiritual hunger. She was a God-fearer, meaning she worshipped the God of Israel without converting fully to Judaism. This placed her in a unique position. She believed in the one true God, but hadn't yet encountered the full truth of the gospel. Many today can relate. People who seek meaning, read scriptures, attend services, yet feel there's still something missing. Lydia's story speaks to those longing for more, standing at the edge of a life-changing revelation. Her presence in Philippi, a Roman colony in Macedonia, was significant. This wasn't a Jewish hub. It was a city steeped in Greco-Roman culture, where paganism was the norm. Yet Lydia's faith set her apart. She didn't follow the crowd, she followed God, even when it meant standing alone. Picture someone today choosing to live by faith in a corporate world obsessed with power and status. Lydia's faith was countercultural, proving that belief in God doesn't require perfect circumstances, just a willing heart. What's even more fascinating is her influence. In a society where women had limited authority, Lydia commanded respect. She wasn't waiting for permission to lead, she was already leading. Her home likely doubled as a trade center and a gathering place for other believers. Think of her as a woman who not only built an empire, but used it to uplift others. This is a powerful lesson. Faith and success aren't enemies. They can coexist when God is at the center of both. Her story also challenges stereotypes. Too often, wealth is seen as a barrier to faith, but Lydia proves otherwise. She was successful, yet spiritually receptive, proving that financial independence and devotion to God aren't mutually exclusive. This is a reality check. How often do people assume that the rich don't seek God? Lydia shatters that notion, showing that true fulfillment isn't in riches alone, but in a life aligned with divine purpose. But how did Lydia's life truly change? How did she go from a God-fearing merchant to a pillar of early Christianity? The answer lies in one pivotal encounter, an unexpected meeting by the riverside that would alter the course of history. Sometimes, the most life-changing moments happen in the most unexpected places. For Lydia, it wasn't in the grand halls of business or among the elite, but by a quiet riverside in Philippi. Paul, led by the Holy Spirit, arrived in the city on a mission. There was no synagogue, so he sought a place of prayer. And there, outside the city gates, he found a group of women gathered, among them Lydia. She wasn't just another listener. She was about to become the first recorded convert to Christianity in Europe. As Paul preached, Lydia's heart was opened, not by mere persuasion, but by divine intervention. Acts 16:14 makes it clear, the Lord opened her heart to respond to Paul's message. This is powerful. Many hear the gospel, but transformation happens when God prepares the heart. It's like reading a book that suddenly makes sense at just the right moment. Lydia was ready. Her years of seeking, her prayers and her faith all led to this defining encounter. Imagine the scene. A wealthy, influential woman sitting among other believers, intently listening to a traveling preacher. In a world where status meant everything, Lydia didn't let her position stop her from embracing the truth. This is a lesson for today. How often do people resist change because they're too concerned about appearances? Lydia could have dismissed Paul, but she didn't. She humbled herself, proving that a genuine seeker of God is never too proud to learn. This moment also highlights divine providence. Paul had initially planned to preach elsewhere, but a vision redirected him to Macedonia, Acts 16:9-10. God orchestrated this meeting, aligning Lydia's spiritual hunger with Paul's mission. How many times do we find ourselves in the right place at the right time, only to realize later that it was no coincidence? Lydia's conversion wasn't accidental. It was part of God's greater plan for spreading the gospel, and this wasn't just about Lydia. Her faith had a ripple effect. When one influential person embraces truth, they don't keep it to themselves. They share it. This is what made Lydia so impactful. She wasn't just converted, she became a bridge for the gospel to spread further. Faith isn't meant to be a private treasure, it's meant to change the world. And Lydia's journey was just getting started. Her story could have ended with a simple conversion, but it didn't. Something even more significant happened next. An act of commitment that proved her faith wasn't just words. She didn't just believe, she acted. And that's when everything truly changed. Faith isn't just about believing, it's about acting. Lydia didn't hesitate. The moment she accepted the gospel, she took the next step, baptism. And she didn't do it alone. Acts 16:15 tells us that she and her household were baptized. This wasn't just personal faith, it was leadership. She influenced those around her, showing that true transformation isn't meant to stay hidden. When faith is real, it overflows into the lives of others. Imagine the impact. A wealthy businesswoman, known in Philippi, publicly declaring her allegiance to Christ. Baptism wasn't just a ritual, it was a bold statement. In a Roman colony where Christianity was unheard of, this was radical. Think of someone today, successful in their career, stepping forward to openly follow Jesus despite opposition. That was Lydia. She wasn't concerned with what society thought. She was committed to her new faith. But Lydia's faith didn't stop at a ceremony. She immediately put it into action by opening her home to Paul and his companions. This was more than hospitality. It was strategic. Her house became a hub for early Christians, a place where the gospel could be preached and believers could gather. In today's terms, it was like turning a private home into the first church in Europe. Her generosity laid the foundation for something far greater than herself. Her decision also reminds us that faith and resources can work together. Some assume that following God means abandoning everything. But Lydia shows another way. She used what she had, her home, her wealth, her influence, to serve God's mission. How many today see their careers, homes and finances as tools for faith? Lydia's story is a challenge. Faith isn't just about receiving, it's about giving back. And her actions didn't just benefit the church, they benefited her as well. By opening her home, she stepped into a new role, not just as a believer, but as a leader. This is where faith becomes more than just a personal journey. Lydia wasn't merely part of the church, she helped build it. True faith isn't passive, it moves, acts, and transforms. And Lydia was about to take her influence even further. Her journey had already broken barriers. An independent woman, a business leader, and now a devoted follower of Christ. But her story wasn't over. Her commitment would soon help spread Christianity beyond what anyone expected. Lydia didn't just accept the gospel, she became part of its movement. Her home became a meeting place for the early church in Philippi, making her one of the first supporters of Christianity in Europe. This wasn't a small role. In a time when believers faced hostility, having a safe place to gather was crucial. Lydia wasn't just offering hospitality, she was creating a foundation for something far greater than herself. Think about it. Paul and Silas were later imprisoned in Philippi, only to be miraculously freed by an earthquake. Acts 16:25-26. And where did they go after their release? Straight to Lydia's house, Acts 16:40. This shows her home wasn't just a place of comfort, it was a headquarters for the mission. When others wavered, Lydia remained steadfast, proving that true faith isn't just about believing, it's about standing firm, even when challenges arise. And she didn't stop there. She became a pillar of support for the growing Christian community. Many believe she used her wealth to fund missionary work, enabling Paul and others to continue spreading the gospel. This is a reminder that God calls people from all walks of life. Some, like Paul, are preachers. Others, like Lydia, are providers, ensuring the mission thrives. Both roles are vital. Without people like Lydia, the message might have struggled to reach as far as it did. Her story also shatters expectations. In an era where women had limited influence, she emerged as a leader. Not by demanding power, but by serving with conviction. She shows that leadership isn't about titles, it's about impact. Today, many hesitate to step forward, thinking they're not qualified. Lydia's life says otherwise. If God could use a merchant from Philippi to shape Christian history, what could he do with you? Lydia's conversion and actions set off a chain reaction. The Philippian church became one of Paul's strongest supporters, as seen in his letter to them, Philippians 1:3-5. Her faith influenced an entire region, proving that one decision, one act of obedience can have eternal consequences. And isn't that how God works? He takes ordinary people and weaves them into his extraordinary plan. Lydia's story is a testament to what happens when faith is lived out with boldness. She didn't wait for permission, and she didn't hold back. Her life challenges us too. Ask, what are we doing with what God has given us? Because when faith is real, it doesn't just change us, it changes the world. Lydia's story isn't just about history, it's about action. She didn't wait for the perfect moment or for someone to give her permission. She heard the truth, embraced it, and let it transform not just her life, but the lives of those around her. How often do we hesitate when God calls us to something bigger? We doubt, delay, and wait for a sign, when maybe, like Lydia, we just need to say yes and take the next step. Think about it. She was a successful businesswoman, yet she didn't let her wealth or status become an excuse. Instead, she used what she had for God's mission. What about you? Maybe you're holding back because you think you don't have enough time, resources, or influence. But Lydia proves that when you surrender what you do have, God multiplies it beyond what you could imagine. Her home became more than a house. It became a center for faith, a place where believers gathered, where lives changed. And that's a challenge for us today. What if your home, your business, your social circle became a place where faith thrived? You don't have to be a preacher to make an impact. You just have to be willing. Lydia's legacy is proof that true leadership starts with a single decision: to follow God wholeheartedly. So ask yourself, are you playing small with your faith? Are you keeping it private, afraid of what others might think? Or are you ready to step into your calling like Lydia did and let your life become a testimony of God's power? Because faith isn't just about what we believe, it's about what we do with that belief. If Lydia's story inspired you, imagine how many more biblical truths could transform your life. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep diving deeper into the stories that shape our faith. And before you go, tell me in the comments, What's one thing from Lydia's life that challenges you to grow? Let's talk about it.